Hi, this is Elisa with XYZ Wellness. Thank you so much for joining me for another practice. Today we're going to start on the floor in a seat, and you can sit up on a block or a couch cushion, maybe a pillow from your bed or a rolled up blanket if you'd like, or if you have a bolster, you can sit on a bolster, which is basically a nice firm pillow. And I'm going to sit up, and this helps us to find a sense of ease in the lower back. Especially if you notice that you're dumping your body weight backward or you're slumping into your lower back, and we'll lift up and out of the hips. And we really want the hips to be higher than the knees. So finding a comfortable position, sitting on whatever you'd like, or you can be seated on the floor. And we're going to add a mudra into our practice this morning. And a mudra is basically just a hand seal or a posture or a pose for our hands. And the mudra that we're going to use this morning is called Prana Mudra. So we'll take the pat of the thumb over the ring finger and the pinky. And we'll just let our hands rest on our lap, or you could actually hold them next to the belly. So whichever feels more comfortable. If that's too tense for the shoulders, bring your hands down to the knees into your lap. And since we don't normally hold these postures for our hands, if that's uncomfortable in any way, feeling free to release that at any time and just letting your hands be loose and comfortable. But this is a way to have that energetic seal. And all mudras have intention or meaning behind them. And the goal of Prana Mudra is actually to aid in immunity. So I thought this was a fitting time to maybe add in this mudra into our practice. So first, finding your seat and maybe adjusting the body in any way that you need to. And then if you'd like to try Prana Mudra, again, you can have the thumb over the ring and the pinky finger on both hands. And then just allowing some length in the spine, lifting up, getting taller, and maybe letting your eyes close, or you can soften your gaze down towards the floor. As we start to notice the breath. Noticing any areas of the body that might be tense or tight, and especially maybe into shoulders or the back of the neck, and sending the breath into those places. And as we watch the breath, just noticing any areas that might be holding or tight, and inviting the breath into those places as we really try not to force the breath in any way, just allowing the breath to be. Allowing your breath to flow in and out of the nose easily. And if that's not comfortable, then you can breathe in and out of the mouth. But in yoga in general, we like to breathe in and out through the nose. And then as we continue to allow the breath to flow, starting to realize and feel that expansion on the in-breath. So expanding, letting the belly expand away from the body on the in-breath, and then as we exhale, the belly draws back in. Every time we exhale, letting go fully and completely, emptying the body, letting go of negative thoughts or negative emotions. Emptying completely so we can make space for that next in-breath. Letting go of expectations and judgments. Letting go of competition. Competition with anybody else, but also competition with ourselves, especially that competition that we have with an idealized version of ourselves. We all have that little mean voice in our head that tells us that we should be doing things better or differently. And letting go of that voice, silencing that inner critic. So we'll take just another round or two of breath right here, maybe setting an intention for your practice, whether it's to create a sense of ease and peace in the body and the mind, or if you'd like to maybe find some strength, some resilience. So just one, maybe two more breaths. And then exhale, we'll bring the chin towards the chest, letting the back of the neck hang long. Feeling the weight of the head, stretching the neck muscles into the upper back and shoulders. And in this position, we'll allow our eyes to flutter open and slowly raising the head. And if you still have your hands in our Prana Mudra, maybe giving those fingers a little wiggle, feeling the energy in the hands. And we'll start to create a flowing movement for the upper body. We're going to inhale, sweeping arms out and then overhead. Exhaling, hands come to the space of the heart. Inhaling, maybe looking up, and then exhaling. So our eyes can maybe follow our hands, if that feels okay to your neck. This movement can be as big or as small as you'd like. So if you're caring for your shoulders this morning, maybe making this movement a little smaller, or we might choose to open up into cactus arms. Getting nice expansion for the front of the shoulders and for the chest. And we're creating almost a moving meditation here as we connect mind, body, and breath. So as we move through the practice, anytime you notice your mind starting to get distracted or you're carried away in thoughts, inviting your mind to come back to this present moment and back to the breath and back to the movements of your body, being connected to the now. Maybe just one or two more like this. And then bring our hands back down to our laps. We're going to add in a twist for the spine. So we want to start waking up the spine a little bit. We'll take an in-breath, reaching arms overhead if that feels okay. And as we exhale, twisting over to the right side, turning the torso and the chest, and then letting the head travel last. We'll inhale forward, and we'll exhale to twist over to the other side. Now we'll start to move with the pace of your breath. So using the in-breath to come forward, out breath to turn. Moving at your own pace. Letting the inhale bring us forward, exhale to twist. So the exhale, we turn to one side. Letting that twist start low, starting down at the belly button. Down at the base of your spine, traveling one vertebra at a time. We'll do just one more time in each direction. And coming back to face the front, we'll release those arms down. Adding in some lateral flexion now for the spine. We'll inhale that right arm up, maybe looking up towards the top hand, or you can look down towards the opposite hand. Exhaling down, inhale, reaching up. So as we switch from side to side, we're really reaching up and then maybe finding a little bit of a side bend. So imagining that you're reaching up for something on a high shelf, creating that space, elongating through the side body, elongating through the ribs. Just another way to move the spine, getting into the entire body, getting longer, taller. One more time to each side. And exhaling down. If you're on a support, you may want to stay on it, or you can come off of it like I am. We're going to do a little bit of seated cat and cow. So a lot of times we do cat and cow on hands and knees, and today we're going to do it in a seat. I'm just turning to the side so you can see what I'm doing. I have my knees bent, and you can stay in your cross-legged position if that feels better. We'll take hands behind the thighs if we have come to bent knees. From here, we're going to exhale, emptying out the breath and maybe coming into a little rounded position with the spine. And then we'll inhale, arching forward. Exhaling, rounding, and inhaling, coming forward. Hands can stay behind the back, or you might start to move with the arms, so maybe rounding forward for a cow. And then inhaling, open. So you can experiment seeing how those two options might feel. So you might like that arm movement, or maybe feeling a little more grounded and settled with the hands behind the legs. Just giving our spines a little bit of a massage. And then one more round. And coming into neutral. We'll make our way now onto hands and knees. And first, trying out that cat and cow once again on hands and knees, just to find a little different variation for the spine. Hands are directly underneath shoulders, and fingers are spread really wide. We want to have starfish hands. If that creates any discomfort for wrist, coming to fist for wrist, or maybe coming back onto your bottom. Knees are underneath our hips, and we're going to exhale just like we did on our bottoms, rounding the spine to the chest. Now inhaling forward. And after this round, we'll pause here. And you might choose to continue with your cat and cow, or if you'd like, you can add in a little bit of strength for the core. We're going to come to a spinal balance. And remembering our core is more than just our abs. It's also the low back, our hips, our glutes. So we're going to really focus here on the strength of the back as well as the abdominals. We'll inhale, extending the right arm forward, maybe adding in that left leg. So either lifting the arm, the leg, or both. Reaching long, extending out in opposite directions. And then we'll exhale, hand and knee back down. Switching sides, we can lift the left arm, maybe adding the right leg, or if you'd like to separate those and do one or the other, that's fine. But if you're doing alternating limbs, we'll switch from one side to the other using the pace and the power of our breath. Every time we inhale, we'll lengthen and extend. Every time we exhale, we'll come back into our neutral tabletop. Remembering if at any time your spine gets a little tired, you can come back into cat and cow. Or maybe take a rest in tabletop. If you're lifting that opposite leg, making sure that the toes are pointing down towards the floor. So we want to make sure that the pinky toe is pointing down to the floor as well. So rather than having the toe out to the side, which would take us out of level. And we can imagine that there's a glass of water on our low back. We want to keep that glass of water from tipping and spilling. Feeling all the places that are getting strong here. As we do this just one more time to each side. And coming through our tabletop, we're going to sit our hips back in the child's pose. So you might keep the knees closer together, or maybe letting them come towards the edges of the mat as we sink our hips back and down towards our heels. Arms are still forward, if that feels okay to the shoulders. If that's too much and you're carrying the shoulders, maybe bringing hands closer or placing hands underneath the forehead. Observing any sensations in the body right now. So you might be aware of the low back or the hips, or maybe you're feeling shoulders or ankles. There's no right or wrong. It's always different when we come to the mat. Our bodies are always just a little bit different. So if arms were closer to the body, we're going to extend now. We're going to walk both hands towards the left edge of the mat, keeping the right hip on the heel, and we'll crawl those right fingertips forward. Once again, getting into the side body. Inhaling through center. And then we'll exhale, and over to the other side. Feeling that length into the side body. Inhaling, making your way back to center. And you can either choose to stay here in child's pose, or if you'd like to lift into downward facing dog with me, we'll bring our knees back into an alignment with the hips if they were wide. Crawling those fingertips towards the top of the mat, keeping the fingers spread wide. And now tucking our toes under. Hips come to the sky, keeping knees bent as much as you'd like. As we grip down through the hands, creating Hastabandha. That's the firm support with our hands, pressing down through all 10 fingertips, as well as the palms. Feet are about hip distance. And we can let our gaze come back towards our feet. Staying here, or maybe alternating heel drops. So letting one heel come to the floor, and then switching sides. Waking up the bottoms of the feet, getting into the ankles and the calves. You can stay still, or you can add in this movement, walking your dog. And then lifting both heels away from the floor. Lifting through the pelvic floor, engaging root lock, drawing the navel in towards the spine. We'll exhale, heels towards the ground, pressing the chest back towards the legs as we elongate, feeling that strength through the upper body. Exhaling, knees come down to the floor. We'll uncurl the toes and sit our hips back into child's pose. From here, we're going to inhale, coming into a kneeling posture, reaching arms overhead. Eyes can look up towards the hands. And then as we exhale, coming forward into an extended child's pose. On the next in-breath, we'll shift the body forward into cow pose, letting the gaze come forward, belly dropping towards the floor. And then as we exhale, rounding the hips back towards child's pose. Staying here, or tucking our toes under to lift into downward facing dog. Engaging that belly, drawing it in towards the spine. Exhaling, knees come to the floor, finding that cow pose once again. And then as we exhale, rounding the spine, child's pose. Inhaling, we'll sweep the arms up as we lift into lightning bolt. Exhaling, bring the arms down, child's pose. Inhaling forward to cow pose. This time, you have the option of sitting the hips back into child's pose, or tucking toes under to go into downward facing dog. Exhaling, lowering knees down to the floor, finding cow pose again, untucking those toes, and then rounding the spine on exhale, child's pose. Inhaling, we'll sweep the arms up, and we'll lift into the belly, drawing the navel in towards the spine. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling to come forward to cow. And then your choice, downward facing dog or child's pose. If you're in downward facing dog, you might choose to add in a three-legged dog here, lifting the left leg to the sky, right heel comes down towards the floor. Exhaling to lower left leg down, and inhaling, right leg up. Exhaling, finding stability in downward facing dog, and then we'll lower knees down to the floor, untucking the toes into child's pose. Repeating that, we'll inhale, lifting. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling forward to cow. Exhaling, your choice, child's pose or downward facing dog. Maybe adding in your three-legged dog, lifting one leg to the sky, keeping hips pointing down towards the floor. Switching sides if you're finding your three-legged dog. Coming back into stillness as we lower knees down to the floor, uncurling the toes, child's pose. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhaling forward to cow. Exhaling, child's pose or downward facing dog. This time, if you're adding your three-legged dog, you might choose to open the hip, bending the knee, and looking under the arm. Heel can come towards your bottom. Switching sides, first bringing both hips to the frame of the floor, and then lifting the other leg up, bending that knee, opening, creating space in that hip and the pelvis. Lowering the hips to the floor, and coming back down. We'll lower knees down to the floor, and we'll all find the child's pose. This time, bring hands back towards the feet, releasing the wrists a little bit. Maybe circling the wrists, wiggling the fingers, rocking the brow on the floor, massaging out that place between the eyebrows, your third eye, the place of your intuition and inner knowledge. From here, we'll extend arms forward. Tucking toes under, we'll lift into another downward facing dog. Inhaling to lift to the hands, engaging that belly and using our strong core center to help us walk to the top of our mats, coming into forward fold. Knees stay soft here, and we'll shake out the head and neck, releasing any tension or tightness. Shaking our heads no, saying no to any limiting thoughts that might be holding us back. And then nodding our heads yes, saying yes, I have everything I need within me. Softening those knees. We'll inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhaling, hands come to the space of the heart. Finding mountain pose. So I'm just going to move, but you can stay where you are. For mountain pose, feet are in line with our hips. And we're going to find the four corners of the feet. So that's the base of the big toe and the baby toe, and the inner edge of the heel and the outer edge of the heel. We'll keep the knees soft, and we'll roll those shoulders back and down. So you can see how that helps us open and expand across the chest. Letting shoulders relax down away from the ears. We're going to start to flow through chair. So big inhale, sweeping arms overhead. Exhaling, hands come forward as we sit our hips back into that imaginary chair. So arms can be directly in front of the chest, they could be higher, or they can be at prayer, maybe even the thighs. Inhaling, we'll lift. And exhaling, sitting our hips back. We'll do that a few times, starting to strengthen the hips, waking up the legs. Remember, your arms can go anywhere you'd like. If you have any shoulder issues, then keeping those elbows bent a little bit more. Keeping hands at heart center. We'll do one more like this, sitting down into our chair. And maybe staying here if that's feeling really good. We're creating a lot of strength holding this position with our weight towards our heels. Or if you'd like to add in a little bit of a balance challenge, maybe lifting one or both heels away from the floor, strengthening the calves and the ankles. Feeling that into your thighs as well. And then lowering heels down to the floor. Inhale back up. So still in our mountain pose, we're going to add in some modified sun salutations, and we'll add on a little bit as we go, and you can pick and choose whatever variations feel good to you today. Inhaling, reaching arms up, again, maybe turning our gaze up, maybe feeling a little bit of a back bend. Exhaling, leading with the heart, hinging at the hips, coming into forward fold. We'll inhale halfway, monkey pose. Bring hands to our shins or perhaps to your blocks as we extend the spine. Finding a flat back. Backs of the legs are long, but you can bend those knees as much as you'd like to protect the hamstrings. As we exhale, we'll bow, forward fold. Taking a step back with the right foot, lowering the knee down to the ground. Rear toes can come flat onto the mat, or you can keep those toes tucked under. Lifting through the heart, maybe walking hands up that front thigh. Lifting through the heart and relaxing shoulders down away from the ears. We'll exhale, hands to the ground. Stepping the left foot back to meet the right, coming into child's pose. From here, you can choose to stay still, or if you want to add a little feet into the body, we'll inhale, forward kneeling plank. Maybe exhaling halfway into a push-up, all the way down to the floor, lengthening through the body, drawing shoulders down away from the ears. We'll inhale halfway into cobra pose. Fingers are maybe very lightly touching the mat or even hovering off the ground as we strengthen the back body. Bringing hands back down, we will push that floor away from us and exhale, child's pose. Getting ready to come to the other side, we'll step our right foot to the top of the mat on an in-breath. So now we're in low lunge on the other side. Right knee is stacked over the ankle, belly's drawing in. And as we lift through that heart, we can keep hands on the ground, maybe on blocks. We can walk hands up that front thigh. Relaxing the jaw and letting the eyes be soft. Bringing hands back to our blocks or to the floor. We'll tuck our rear toes under, and then big step coming into a forward fold at the top of our mats. Inhaling, lifting halfway, finding that monkey pose once again. Strong core, belly buttons drawing in. Exhaling, rounding, forward fold. Inhaling to sweep up. And then exhaling, we'll sit into chair pose once again, keeping the spine long. Remembering, if we find ourselves facing the floor and we're rounding over, it would be much better to be sitting up high. So finding your perfect place and chair. And then inhaling to lift. Repeating that on the other side, we'll exhale. Big swan dive, hands come to the floor. Inhaling to look forward. Exhaling. And we'll step the left foot back, lowering the knee down to the floor. Hands can come to blocks, or we can walk hands up that front thigh. This time, maybe even taking an option to bring hands to prayer, or you can lift arms. Relaxing the throat and the jaw. Feeling some openness into the hips, especially that back leg. Maybe you feel that into the hip flex to the front of the thigh. Exhaling, hands come down. We'll frame that front foot. And stepping the right foot back into child's pose, or coming into that half series flow. We'll inhale forward. Exhaling, hovering, and then lowering all the way down to the floor. Elbows draw down towards the knees. We'll inhale, lifting halfway, coming into a baby cobra pose. So we're not trying to lift all the way up. We're just trying to use the strength of the spine to help us lift the chest. Exhaling, forehead comes down. We'll plant the hands next to the shoulders now. And then inhaling, lifting up into kneeling plank. Exhaling, child's pose. On our in-breath, we'll step that left foot to the top of the mat. Keeping the knee and ankle safely in line with one another. Hands can stay low. We're choosing any arm option on this side. Keeping shoulders down away from the ears. Exhaling, hands bring that front foot. We'll tuck the right toes under, lifting the back knee, and stepping into your forward fold. Inhaling to lengthen the spine, keeping the back of the neck long. Exhaling, melting, forward fold. Deepening the bend in our knees as we inhale, reverse swan dive, and exhale, sitting into chair. Inhaling up. So we're going to pause here for just a moment. Hands come to the heart. We can repeat what we just did on knees. So if that was feeling good to you, you can stay right there. Or if you'd like, we can add some options on toes, and maybe even mixing it up a little bit. So honoring whatever your body has to give to you today. We'll take a big in-breath. And then exhaling, hinging forward. Inhaling to look forward. And as we exhale, we'll step the right foot back. Again, knee can stay on the ground or it can be lifted this time. Maybe choosing to bring hands to our blocks, and that might help with a little bit of stability. We'll hug inner thighs together. So imagining our legs are like scissors and hugging them together. Staying low or walking hands up that front thigh, coming into more of a crescent lunge here. If you felt more stable with hands on the blocks, staying right there. Exhaling, hands can come to the floor. We'll step the left foot back, finding child's pose, downward facing dog, or you can flow through any vinyasa you have in your practice. So it might be that one we just did on knees, or you can shift forward on plank to plank on toes, coming forward on the balls of the feet, exhaling to hover, flipping those toes to come into upward facing dog. And in upward facing dog, our legs are away from the floor, shoulders are down away from the ears. Exhaling, flipping the toes once again, we can come into downward facing dog or child's pose. On our next in-breath, stepping the right foot between the hands, maybe giving it a little bit of help if it needs it. Again, hands could be on blocks, or you can come into that lifted posture. Both sides of the body are different, so we might choose different options each time around. There's no need to be the same every single time. Exhaling, hands come to the floor, and we'll step into forward fold. Inhaling, flat back. Exhaling, bending the knees, forward fold. Inhaling to sweep arms overhead. Exhaling, we'll sit into strong legs, chair pose. One more time, big in-breath. Leading with the heart, exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling to look forward. Exhaling, bowing, forward fold, and stepping that left foot back, keeping that knee lifted, or you might choose to soften it down towards the floor, choosing an arm option here. Lifting through the heart. If that rear foot is lifted, we're going to send some energy from that heel towards the back wall. Exhaling, hands come to the floor, and stepping right foot back. Finding your choice of movement or stillness, child's pose, down dog, or vinyasa. If you're moving, we'll find our way into some stillness, either a down dog or child's pose. And then using your strong core center, we'll step that left foot forward between the hands, coming into any variation of lunge, on knees or on toes. Arms can be lifted, or you might start experimenting with your arm options. You can come into cactus arms here. Exhaling, framing the front foot with the hands, and then stepping into a forward fold, crown of the head down towards the ground. Inhaling to lift halfway. Exhaling, belly comes to the legs, forward fold. Deepening the bend in our knees, reverse swan dive. And exhaling, flying chair pose. From here, we'll inhale, bring hands together at the space of the heart, finding a mountain pose. Relaxing shoulders down away from the ears, finding a sense of center, finding your place of stillness in the body, finding your strength and your stability here in this powerful pose, this powerful mountain pose. Taking a step back with the left foot, we'll come into warrior one. So for warrior one, the right foot is facing the top of your mat, left foot can be out at an angle. We'll square shoulders to the front edge of the mat. Arms can be lifted into traditional warrior arms, or maybe choosing those cactus arms, finding a bit of expansion for the chest. Feeling that strength in your proud warrior. If arms are open into cactus. We'll inhale them up, and then turning the body towards the left side, coming into warrior two. So you might need to step that rear foot back a little bit more to make more room for the body. We want shoulders directly over hips. So if you find yourself leaning forward, then bringing the body upright, so we can lower arms out of the equation right now, just coming shoulders over hips. Maybe taking hands behind the body, coming into a reverse cradle. And then if you'd like, adding arms at shoulder height. Turning our gaze out over the right fingertips. We're going to come into triangle pose. So we're going to inhale, straightening that front leg, keeping at least a little bit of a bend in the knee. And then we'll hinge forward. Exhaling, hand can come to the shin. It can be on the thigh, but not worry about it getting all the way down to the floor. You want to think about keeping the whole back of the body, and in fact, the whole body itself as one long line. Left arm can lift up if that feels okay to the shoulder. We might choose to look up or look down. So remembering there's nothing magical about the floor. So rather than worrying about coming out of this straight line position just to come forward to bring the hand to the floor, that's really not what we are hoping to accomplish, and it's not as safe for the spine. So we want to imagine that our body is so straight, it's like we could be a piece of toast in a toaster. We're using the strength of the core here, so that right hand could actually come away from the leg, so we're not dumping into that right hand. We'll take one more breath right here, and planting that left foot into the earth. We're going to inhale, and back into warrior two. Cartwheeling the arms, coming into runner's lunge, stepping right foot back, and maybe taking an option to flow through your vinyasa or staying still. So lowering down, maybe lifting up into an upward facing dog or a cobra pose, and then coming back into down dog or child's pose. Taking a walk to the front of your mat. Bending the knees as we inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhaling, hands come to the space of your heart. So I'm going to switch sides, but you can stay exactly where you are. We'll step the right foot back now this time, coming into warrior one. So that right foot's out at an angle, left foot and left shoulders are square to the top of the mat. Maybe inhaling those arms up, or trying a different arm option. So I'm coming into a chest expansion here. Releasing hands behind my back, but you can have hands at prayer or come to cactus arms. Keeping both feet pressing into the earth. So especially with that right heel. If that right heel is lifted, you can shorten your stance so that the right heel can press into the ground. We'll inhale the arms up if they were in any other position. And then exhale, turning to the right side, finding warrior two. So again, shoulders are over hips. And we find that power here. That front leg is spiraling open. So if you notice that the front knee is tilting in a little bit, giving it some help so that we spiral that thigh towards the pinky toe side of the foot. Letting our gaze go out over the left fingertips. Remember, if our arms get tired, we can always bring them down. We're going to be giving them a little flow here. We're getting ready to come into that triangle pose on this side once again. So we'll inhale, extending that front leg, little baby micro bend at the very least, and then extending forward. Left hand can come to the shin, to the thigh, maybe to your block if you have one here. Remembering there's nothing magical. You don't get a gold star coming all the way to the floor. It's about our core holding this here. So remember, we might choose to, for maybe half a second or so, lift that left hand away from the shin. Turning your chin in any direction. So if this is uncomfortable looking up, we can look down. And if that's uncomfortable to the shoulder, right hand can come to below that. Always, always choosing modifications that fit your body. Planting that right foot down, using the right side of the body. We'll inhale up. Finding warrior two. Exhaling, cartwheeling the arms. We'll step the left foot back, lower knees down to the floor, and we'll all find a child's pose. Any variation, either having arms extended or hands back towards the feet. Checking in with your breath, breathing, feeling, listening to your body, noticing any sensations, being aware of the work that we've done so far. Extending arms in front of the body. We'll lift into our last downward facing dog of the practice. So making this the best down dog of the day. Adding in any last little bit of movement. You might come to your three-legged dog and add some ankle circles. Or you might just walk your dog. And then walking hands back to meet the feet. Bending those knees as we inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhaling, hands come to the heart. Coming into a mountain pose and feeling the work that we've done and allowing the body to come into a place of balance and stability as we get ready for our balance posture for today. So that might mean coming to a wall or a chair to have a little extra balance. And if that's what you need, that's fantastic. Remember, balance is kind of a moving target. So some days our balance is right there and other days not so much. So honoring whatever your body has to give to you today when it comes to your practice or especially your balance part of the practice. So we're going to start in mountain with our feet hip distance apart. We always want to start from the ground up, building our foundation. And we're going to come into a standing balancing pigeon. So we might start to shift our weight into the right foot, coming onto the left toes. And again, this might be enough of a balance challenge for today. So you may choose to stay here or maybe start to lift those toes. One option is to have, and I'm going to grab my blocks. You might want to have your blocks in front of you. And so you might bring the toes to the block. You could stay here. Hands could be out wide or at prayer. Or you could take that ankle across the thigh. So right now we're in more of an upright standing balancing pigeon. The foot is flexed in, so the toes are towards the shin. And you can stay more upright, or you can start to sit those hips back like we did in chair pose. And you can stay more upright. You can bring hands to the blocks if you'd like. Just breathing into those hips. So you might feel this into that outer hip and thigh area, into the IT band. Relaxing the shoulders. If you fall out of your pose, you can always revisit it. I'm going to take just one more breath right here. Inhale, coming up. So releasing our pose, maybe shaking it out, or adding a little bit of circles for the hips. So you probably noticed it, but we got a nice stretch for the outside hip and thigh on that lifted leg, but we got a lot of strength on the standing side. So the standing leg gets a lot of work. We'll shake that out. And then we'll switch to the other side. Rooting down through the feet and letting go of any need for both sides of the body to look the same. And finding your way here. So we might come to toes, we might come to the block. Maybe taking that ankle, opening the knee out to the side. You can stay more upright. Remembering those toes are drawing in towards the shin, flexing that foot on the standing leg to protect the knee. And only coming as low as feels good. Lifting through the heart. And letting go of any ideas that both sides need to look the same. If you're wobbling or wobbling, that's good too. Getting lots of strength. We'll stay here for one or two more breaths. And very slowly, as you're ready, starting to lift up and out. Shaking those wrists, adding any movement your body needs here. And then coming back to the front of our mats. We'll take an in-breath, letting our gaze come up towards the ceiling, up towards the fingertips. A little bit of a back bend here, so maybe like a standing camel pose. Exhaling, coming into a forward fold. We'll bring our knees underneath the body, so we're back into a tabletop position. And we just explored a standing pigeon pose or standing figure four, and now we're going to explore a pigeon on the ground. So we have a couple different options. I'll show you one, but if this version isn't good for your knees, I'll show you another one on your back. So first, in hands and knees position, we'll bring the right knee in towards the wrist. You might stay right here with that left leg sliding back and the right heel underneath the right hip. Or if you want a little more sensation for that right hip, you could take the foot across the body so that the right foot is now in front of the left hip. Now, the key to remember here is that this pose is never ever meant to be about the knee. So if you feel any discomfort in your knee, I'll show you where to go. So perhaps staying here, or if you would like coming onto your back and taking that right ankle across the left thigh. So coming into an upside down version of our pigeon pose. I'm going to come back into the upright version, but you can stay on your back if you'd like. If you're in the lifted version, we want to be really careful. Sometimes the inclination might be to flop over to the side, and if you feel like you're flopping that right hip onto the ground, you can either place a block or a pillow or rolled up towel under that right hip. Because just like in Warrior, when we were in Warrior 2, when we were thinking about shoulders being above hips, you want to stay just like that right now. And then either staying upright, or we can walk those hands forward, bringing the forearms down to the ground, maybe taking a block, or we could take our fists underneath the forehead to keep the spine and the head in one nice line so that the neck is protected. And breathing into that right hip and thigh area. So you might really be feeling a nice stretch into the IT band, that outer band of that right thigh, or maybe into the hip, maybe into the piriformis. And again, if this is too much for the front knee, if you need to, coming onto your back. We'll take just a couple more breaths right here, wherever you are. If we're in this forward version of pigeon pose, we'll start to walk the hands underneath the shoulders. If we're on our backs, we'll stay exactly where we are. And if we're on that forward one, we'll bring the right knee back. So we're back into tabletop. Bringing the left knee now between, or up by that left wrist. Right leg slid back. I don't know if you saw that. It just slid that back. Left ankle can be under the hip. We can take that heel across the body. If you're on your back, we'll switch sides now, taking the left ankle over the right thigh, just above the knee. Maybe finding a little lift before we lower the body, keeping those shoulders and hips in line so the torso is nice and squared in front of the mat, and you might choose to walk the body forward. Again, if you need to take something under that left hip, you don't need to. That's more so if we find ourselves flopping over to the side. We want to keep everything nice and square. And you might notice a different sensation on this side. One side is usually tighter than the other. We're just breathing into any places that need it the most right now. Taking one or maybe two more breaths right here. And if we're in our upright version or our forward version of our pigeon, we'll bring hands underneath the shoulders. We'll lift the upper body. We're on our backs. We're going to stay exactly where we are because we're all going to be there in just a moment. And we'll start to bring the left hip to the floor and the right foot forward. So now we're in a bent knee position. We'll hold on behind one of our legs, and we'll use that leg as a handle to help us hold onto our backs. Feet can stay on the ground with knees bent, or we can hug knees into the chest, maybe rocking them around, getting a massage from the ground. We're circling the knees. We can circle in both directions, or we can just be rocking. And bring your feet down to the floor. We'll take a gentle windshield wiper motion with the knees, letting the knees sway from one side to the other. Letting this movement again be as slow or as quick as feels good, but not needing to rush through anything. We might let the movement actually slow down a little bit more, or maybe get a little bit bigger. But honoring your low back. So if you notice any discomfort as you sway to one side, making this movement a little bit smaller. Now coming to stillness. We'll let the knees drop in towards each other, feet are wide. Take just a breath or two here. Noticing any sensations. Now bringing feet in line with the hips. We're going to come into a bridge pose. Hands are down towards the heels. And as we inhale, starting to lift the hips. And then the vertebrae coming into a lifted posture. Creating a straight line from knees to shoulders. And there's a little bit of space between the chin and chest as we press the heels down into the floor to have that nice lift. Creating strength for the back of the body. A nice extension for the back of the body. Opening the front. And the next coming down. Maybe pausing there if you'd like, we can revisit that pose one more time. Inhaling, lifting, maybe taking hands underneath the glutes this time. Walking shoulders underneath the body. Get a little more lift in your bridge. If you'd like, taking it up one more notch, lifting one leg to the sky. Exhaling, bending that knee down. And inhaling, lifting the other leg up. That leg lift is purely optional, just if you want it today. Exhaling, coming down. We'll release our hands if they're interlaced. And slowly returning the spine back down to the earth. Feeling as everything comes back into neutral, especially the natural curves of the spine. Staying here. We're going to come into a twist. So we'll lift both hips over to the right side, drop knees to the left. And then opening the right arm out to the side. Arms can be in a T shape, or you can have that left arm, left hand on the right thigh. Turning your chin in any direction. Just a couple of deep diaphragmatic breaths. Inhaling all the way into the belly. And then exhaling. Coming back to center, lifting the knees up. Bringing ourselves into the center of the mat, and then inhaling, lifting the hips over to the left edge of the mat. Knees drop to the right edge. Turning the belly and the chest to the left side. All knees drop to the right side. Maybe closing the eyes, letting the body start to slow down a little bit. We're going to take just a couple more breaths right here. Again, finding that deep diaphragmatic breath, massaging the internal organs. And coming back to center. Finding any last pose or posture that your body might need. So that might be rocking your knees back in once again, or if there's just some pose your body needs before we come into stillness, then selecting that. Maybe finding a happy baby, inviting hips down towards the floor. Going side to side or staying still like a dead bug. And then as you're ready, coming into final relaxation, Shavasana. And that might be with knees bent once again. You can be wider than the hips, allowing the palms to face up in a gesture of receiving. Or if you'd like, you could come into more of a traditional Shavasana with the legs extended, even wider than the hips. Allowing your back body to connect to the earth. Releasing the shoulders, maybe even bringing the shoulders a little bit more under the body so we can breathe into that space behind the heart. Connecting the entire back of the body into the earth. Or remember, you might choose to be laying on your side or on your belly. Any place that you can allow the body to let go of any effort. Coming into a place of ease. Softening that place between the eyebrows. And the eyes be heavy in their sockets. Relaxing the throat and the jaw. As we surrender the weight of the body to the earth. Begin to wiggle fingers and toes. And circling ankles and wrists. Stretching the body long. And bending the knees. Turning to your favorite side. And using the top hand to help lift into a comfortable seat. Coming back to where we started. The palms of the hands at the heart. We're going to lift from the tailbone to the crown of the head, getting just a little bit taller. The bow, then the chin towards the chest. Bowing our egos to our hearts. Taking a moment in gratitude for showing up for yourself, for taking this time to care for yourself. And the divine light in you honors the divine light in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.